Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here right now because today we are tackling something that, let's be honest, pretty much all of us struggle with. Let me ask you, do you ever feel this crushing wave of guilt when you just try to sit down and rest? Like if you haven't earned it by checking off a massive to-do list, taking a break somehow feels like laziness? We live in a world that is totally engulfed by hustle culture. Busyness is practically worn like a badge of honor these days. But what if doing absolutely nothing wasn't a waste of time at all? What if it was actually the ultimate hidden superpower for your brain? Okay, let's dive into this. There's this brilliant observation from the 17th century French thinker Blaise Pascal, made way before smartphones or 24-hour news cycles even existed. He noticed that we are literally terrified of stillness. We desperately use these room fillers just to avoid being left alone with our own thoughts. Think about it. Today, the exact moment we feel even a hint of boredom, whether we're standing in line for coffee or just waiting at a red light, boom, we reach for a screen. We're using constant stimulation as a defense mechanism to keep from sitting quietly with ourselves. So moving into section 1, the fear of stillness and escaping the self. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is exploring why we're so afraid of just being. When we're constantly busy, we basically postpone the really difficult work of self-knowledge. And historically, we've had two drastically different views on this idea of stillness. On the pessimistic side, we have the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. He argued that human life just swings like a pendulum, back and forth between pain and boredom. To him, boredom was this painful sensation of the sheer emptiness of existence. Pretty bleak, right? But wait, thousands of years earlier, the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu framed it in this amazing paradoxical way. He said, by non-action, everything can be done. It sounds totally contradictory, but as we're about to see, Lao Tzu hit the nail on the head. Stillness isn't some empty void. It's actually a space where things can unfold naturally without force. Which brings us to section 2, boredom as wonder, and flipping the script. Let's talk about a massive shift in perspective. What if we completely flipped the script on boredom? Instead of viewing it as this empty, soul-crushing void that we absolutely must escape with our phones, what if we recognized it as a profound state of mind? Take a look at this striking image here, the crossed-out thinker. It perfectly captures a radical concept from Martin Heidegger's 1929 to 1930 seminar. Heidegger proposed that to even begin in philosophy, we shouldn't just analyze boredom, we have to actually be bored. He argued that what he called profound boredom is literally the animating spark of philosophy. In our modern world, where that ancient sense of wonder is getting choked out by our frantic busyness, profound boredom acts as our modern-day wonder. But to access it, we've got to relinquish that constant need to be doing something. All right, let's look at the hard facts in section 3, the science of offline mode, inside the brain. So what is physically happening inside our heads when we finally switch off? Let's move from philosophy into the hard neurological science. Enter the default mode network, or the DMN. Research highlighted by Ferris Job shows that even when you aren't deliberately working on a task, your brain is still firing. It's utilizing about 20% of your body's energy to just quietly flourish in the background. This default mode network requires less than half the energy of conscious problem solving, but it is exactly where your brain makes sense of everything it has learned. It's basically your brain's absolutely vital offline mode. And this brilliantly illustrates just how active that downtime really is. While you think you're just sitting there doing nothing, your brain is actually tackling associative memory, creative problem solving, episodic memory recall, and generating highly original ideas. A really groundbreaking study by neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Shofty literally mapped this out. They recorded high-resolution neural activity in epilepsy patients, and they found that when they physically disrupted the default mode network using electrical stimulation, it severely limited the patient's capacity for divergent original thinking. So long story short, when you deny yourself rest, you are literally short-circuiting your brain's creativity generator. This takes us directly to section 4, the power of incubation and solving by stepping away. When we connect that neuroscience back to psychology, we find this incredibly powerful concept of incubation. This is the proven necessity of stepping away from the daily grind to actually solve your biggest problems. This 4-step model was originally proposed by Graham Wallas way back in 1926, and you know what? It still holds perfectly true today. First, you have preparation, where you gather your info. Then comes step 2, the magic step, incubation. This is the unconscious processing of problems when they are set aside for a little while. Then comes illumination, that sudden aha moment, followed by verification. Psychologists have found over and over that this incubation step dramatically increases the odds of a breakthrough. Leaving a problem alone allows your brain to work on it behind the scenes without all that heavy cognitive workload. And if you doubt the power of the incubation phase for even a second, just look at this list of famous gap moments curated by coach James Sweetman. Archimedes had his famous eureka moment not sitting at a desk but taking a bath. Albert Einstein credited his theory of relativity to literally just daydreaming about chasing beams of light. Steve Jobs was famous for his long, aimless walks. J.K. Rowling, she got the entire idea for Harry Potter while stuck on a delayed train, staring out the window. Genius absolutely does not live in the grind. Genius arises in the quiet gaps. Let's make this practical with Section 5, the art of doing nothing and reclaiming your gaps. So the crucial point is, how do we bring all of this back to our daily reality? We have to learn how to actively balance the gap and the grind in our own lives. Enter Nixon, the Dutch philosophy of literally doing nothing. And I promise you, this isn't just some fringe wellness trend. Even rigorous, high-pressure corporate environments are catching on to this. For example, a guide published by the Law Society specifically advises new lawyers who are navigating their super high-stress first years to practice Nixon. To change their downtime, it's becoming a recognized, absolutely essential tool to prevent burnout and spark real innovation. And the best part, you really don't need to take a 6-month sabbatical to achieve this. You can start right now with these actionable micro-habits. Try taking just a few deep breaths before shifting to your next task. Go for a short walk, but leave your phone on your desk. No podcasts, no music, just you and the world around you. Or just sit in stillness for 5 minutes before you start your day. Always remember, rest is intelligent, not indulgent. It is the exact mechanism your brain uses to reset and restore itself. I actually want to share this wonderfully blunt piece of advice from musician Fiona Apple, which was highlighted in a Psychology Today article about the scientific case for downtime. She simply said, "Go out and sit on the lawn and do nothing, because it's just what you must do." It's surprisingly profound, and as we've just seen, it is completely backed by hard neuroscience and literally centuries of philosophy. You simply have to carve out idle time to make sense of the world. Which brings us to our final big question for this explainer. What will you do with your nothing today? I really challenge you to stop treating your downtime as a void that constantly needs to be filled with scrolling or busy work. Reclaim your gaps. Allow yourself to be profoundly bored for a minute and just see what kind of wonder and brilliance your brain's default mode network can build for you. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible topic today. Now go find a lawn and do absolutely nothing.